Well, boys and girls, we are doing a season preview. It wasn't on the cards, but I thought, why not? Let's get the Avengers. Let's get this old cast back together. Favi, Will, back on to preview the season. If you guys remember, we did do a video, all of us, talking about kind of reflecting on the Sounders of the Club World Cup. And I know a lot of you guys enjoyed that. So I was like, you know what? Let's do a season preview, get the guys back, talk about the offseason, because in the small amount of content that we've done during this offseason, which was just a few live streams for just loose rumors that came out when Obed left for Atletico, a lot of you were kind of down in the dumps with this offseason. We're not happy about it. Kind of was wanting my opinion. What do you think is going to happen for the Sounders during this season? Could we see possibly the worst season? Could we see this team still do it with house money? And so I thought, let's get two neutral guys. Favi, who covers the league and as well probably has a little special surprise he's going to talk about at some point during this video. And then of everyone's favorite person on our channel, I will say, I think Will is by far our favorite guest. This isn't me joking. I'm not trying to shit on him or anything. It's true. Will is definitely our number one S tier favorite guest to have on the channel. But boys, welcome back. And including your intro, you can talk about what was the good and the bad for the Sounders during this offseason, and kind of we can start opening the door and talking about that.
The best guest goes first, right? So, Will?
Well, it's got to be you, Mr. Kickbase.
Thank you for having us on again. It's always a pleasure to be on. I'll take the first since we're going to do the promo. All right. So now I work over here at Kickbase in New York. We're the new home of MLS Fantasy. So I'm excited to kind of bring fantasy to the forefront of everybody's kind of brain. I'm trying to take fantasy into a different direction where maybe, even if you like MLS just a little bit, or if you want to, keep at it later on in the season, you can always pick up fantasy and play the weekly challenges too. So don't forget that. It doesn't have to be a whole kind of big ordeal, which can be a little daunting at times. But yeah, it's 100% free to play. So definitely pick up the app. It's on the App Store, on the Google Play App Store, and the iOS App Store today. Now let me talk about Seattle. I love the Sounders, man. Like I'm gonna be the biggest Seattle homer, man. Like I go to their games and I go on other podcasts, right? I'm on this podcast tour and I'm like, dude, you need to go to a game in Seattle and see 40,000 people rocking, saying Seattle Sounders. That is such a crazy atmosphere. I went on a show and I said, who is the most famous man in Seattle? This was before the Super Bowl. I said, Jordan Morris. I mean, they treat Jordan Morris like he's Earl Thompson out there, all right? I saw people rocking Jordan Morris jerseys in that Leagues Cup final, and I saw people really, really showing out for the Seattle Sounders.
Hold on a second. Hold on. I can't let you lie like that. That shit was the donation kits. That was the local homeless shelter, man, or the children's home. That's what you saw. But go on.
Yeah. No, but so I'm going on this podcast tour talking about the Sounders, and I'm like, the Sounders always find a way. And kind of bringing this back to their transfer window, hey, they're finding a way. I mean, they had to get rid of Obed. I mean, you have to give him a chance to go to Atletico. Danny Leyva was kind of, it was coming, right? I mean, Cheyenne, you know him, so and you have to find pieces to replace them. And I think the Sounders are going to do that if they haven't already. They're going to find MLS guys to be key contributors. And I think Hassani Dudson is going to actually do okay for Seattle. I think that was actually a great pickup. And then, I think the Sounders are going to squeak their way into the playoffs once more and then find themselves in a conference semifinal again.
Yeah, they're definitely going to find a way. They're finding a way to be worse than they were last year. And here's the thing. So they lost a lot of key players. Well, especially Obed Vargas. Obed Vargas was their best player, debatably, with Christian Roldan last year.
You said that numerous times throughout last season too.
Yeah. And I think what hurts the most with losing him is they lost him for pennies on the dollar. I mean, this guy is a guy who I think he's already made his debut for Atletico Madrid, and they sold him for $3 million. I mean, there were offers of upwards of $10 million from Liga MX clubs this past summer. Now, I don't think he necessarily wanted to go to Liga MX, so that's kind of what nixed the deal. But either way, the Sounders found themselves in a bad spot to where they had to force sell him for a lower price, because if they didn't sell him now, he would have left for free in 6 months, or at least on a pre-contract with another club. So I just want to say that they lost him way too early and they didn't get enough money for him. That's already a bad tone setter for the offseason. Another thing too is They didn't get a U22 striker still. They didn't get one this summer. They tried to get a guy, and they still did not get a U22 legit striker like they've been trying to do for a long time. So that pissed me off, obviously. Like I said, I'm not a fan of any team, but I hate when teams don't make good moves, right? And another thing that really made me upset, and we'll get more into this, but another thing that made me upset was they re-signed Stephen Fry, even if he's a club legend. We saw last year that Andrew Thomas was ready to be a starter full-time for an MLS club. We thought it was going to be the Sounders, but it's not. And now it seems like he's going to be shelved another season for Stephen Fry. And I thought that Andrew Thomas was better than Stephen Fry when he played. And I think he had a lot of key moments. And I think he was the reason they won Leagues Cup. He was a big reason. So I don't understand why they would like it. Like, I understand Stephen Fry is a club legend. No one's denying that, but he's 40 years old. We got to talk about the present and not be thinking about the past.
I mean, let him win the spot, right? If Fry is not playing well, then you can go ahead and have Thomas in there pretty fast, right? So, no, I mean, competition is always good too. You want competition.
I think competition is good. So I'll agree with both of you to gloss over the Stephen Fry conversation. I don't mind. I just think it was pointless to re-sign Steph. Again, I'm not discrediting him. I'm not saying he's not a club legend. I mean, Will and I have gone on numerous tangents. I mean, what was it? The 2022 playoff run. He was the biggest reason we had that playoff. Sorry, I mean 2023 or no, sorry, 2024. Wow, the years are just slipping through my mind. But he was the biggest reason for that playoff run. But it was so evident and clear that Andrew Thomas won the spot. And just this is a term I like using, is make your life simple. Like, you already know Thomas is number one. There's no reason to bring Fry back into the shuffle, because now you kind of have in the back of your head, like, so does Thomas, like, obviously it's evident Thomas should be the number one, but Fry is still here in the mix. And like, out of respect for him, do you just bench him the whole year? No, you can't do it's. What I'm saying. It's just like, you didn't need to add another piece of uncertainty. I think competition is good, but like, that was for last year. Like, now it is evident. It is cut and dry. Thomas has earned the spot. He should be the starter. I think when it comes to talking about this offseason, it was frustrating. I think that was going to be the word of the day, because I've done so many videos talking about, we need this, we need to try that, we need to take some risks. And we're going to probably talk about it, especially as guys that cover the league very much. The floor is raising in MLS. Every team is leveling up. I mean, Favi's team, San Jose. I mean, how are you going to have an off season where the San Jose Earthquakes are more ambitious than the Seattle Sounders? Like, they brought in Timo Werner.
I don't know if that's the right word, though. I mean, yeah, it's more of like an unknown. Like, you're getting an unknown. I don't think that's ambition.
But I think that's where Sounders fans want to be, is a little bit of unknown. Because when has there been any unknown outside of Pedro de la Vega?
The Quakes have nothing to lose, though. You guys have a lot to lose, I think.
But,
do they?
I think so. I think they're just coming off of a Leagues Cup win. I mean, you're in CONCACAF Champions Cup. You don't want to change it too much.
But wait. And I will always counter this argument, and Will's going to agree with me. Leagues Cup was won without Fry, without Morris, without majority of the tournament, Albert Rusnak. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, you can bring up, okay, well, Sounders, they won a trophy last year. Yes, they did win a trophy, but there's context. Without those three guys, two of them being the highest paid players on the team.
Yeah, I mean, what way do you take this team, especially if you know it can run a little skinnier, right? It can be with less fat at the top, but you have to also think about, like, who can replace Rusnak, right? Like, who in MLS they can get that's relatively affordable for the Sounders.
They might already have one. He's your favorite guy, Jesus.
I love me some Jesus. Oh, Jesus. No, for real. Yeah, I mean, I like Ferreira. I'm still waiting for that year to pop, man. I'm still waiting for that form he was in with Dallas.
I think you will be for a long time.
The guy loves Seattle. You know, he has family now. As a person, he's probably doing well up there. He's treated like he's Sam Darnold out there, you know? So I'm excited for Jesus. I think he's going to do better this year.
Let's first, okay, so we've kind of already briskly talked about it, but for everyone watching, Sounders for the off season, for many of you that don't know, I'll try to throw something up on the screen so you have a visual of the Sounders incoming and outgoing transfers. So when it came to ingoing transfers, the Sounders didn't spend a single penny. They got on loan Petkovic from Charlotte FC, Hassani Dotson from Minnesota United on a free, and Ryan Saylor from Inter Miami on a free. Outgoing transfers, you lose Obed Vargas for roughly 3 million, Danny Leva for roughly 1 million, John Bell on a free, Ryan Kent just didn't renew him, which, as much as people might disagree with me, I think is a little bit of a big loss. And then João Paulo, who retired and has now become an assistant coach. Those are just the main ones. There's probably some little ones that I may have missed, but that's the main overarching one. When you guys look at that, obviously for most fans, and I think most people, it's underwhelming. For you guys, how would have you liked the Sounders to approach this offseason?
Well, I just would have liked to see some proactiveness, right? I would like them to maybe, the three DPs, obviously Pedro de la Vega, Albert Rusnak, and Jordan Morris. I would like them to maybe move off of one of them. Like you said, they won Leagues Cup with De Rosario as a starting striker, and I think he was at one point like the fourth option striker. They won the Leagues Cup with him. So it makes you wonder what they could have done with a little bit more talent up top, right? Now, they sold Obed Vargas, and if I'm not mistaken, was he a U22 spot towards the end, or was he not?
No, I don't. I think the Sounders they still haven't occupied any of their U22s, even with Petkovic coming in.
So they have 3 U22s. I would have liked to have seen them at least fill out 2 of those, maybe not all 3, but at least 2 of them, right? I mean, it's just like they've sat on their hands. They're just doing nothing. It's like, I don't understand why they're not trying to push the envelope and be better. And look, we always talk about who the standard bearer is for the league and who is going to move it forward. Look at Inter Miami. Well, let's not look at it. Let's not use them as an example, though, because they are kind of an outlier, but they have made their team better than they were last year, and they won MLS Cup. But let's look at the Galaxy. The Galaxy were terrible last year. What did they do? They traded for João Klaus from St. Louis City SC. I don't know how good he's going to be, but they're trying to do things like the unknown, like Favi calls it, trying to do something a little different. They trade for Jacob Glesnes from Philadelphia, who was Defender of the Year in 2022, and I think he was the runner-up in 2025. They were making moves, right? I just don't think and it doesn't have to be about DPs or U22s. It doesn't have to be about that. There are other ways to improve your roster, like they tried to do with Jesus Ferreira last year, which everyone with a brain knew that was a bad move. And a lot of people were gassing that shit up. And most people were like, no, it's not going to work out. And it did not work out. Expecting him to turn a corner. Favi, I know it's your boy, not my guy. I think that they could have done more interleague trades or something, just change things up. The problem with the Sounders is the team is just too milquetoast. It's too bland. It's been the same for so many years. They really need to spice it up and just change some things. Like they need to, their entire starting lineup is pretty much going to be the same, except literally their best player arguably isn't going to be in the lab. So it's going to get worse overall, but most of the guys are going to be back. And I just feel like it's another off season where Craig Weibel disappoints.
You had the iconic line of this is the most pivotal offseason in Seattle Sounders history. And I'll even throw up the clip for many of people that didn't see it. I mean, looking back on that gives me goosebumps to listen to see, because I thought you were so right. You were so spot on with every word you say, and it resonated. It hit really deep for a lot of Sounders fans that care a lot, because this team didn't do what you said. They didn't try. They didn't play with their fairy tale money and options that they had. I mean, realistically, on paper, doesn't mean that it could be the case. Sounders downgraded this offseason. You lose Vargas, you lose Leva, you replace him with Petkovic, Dotson. You lose Bell, you replace him with Saylor. I mean, when you look trade for trade, they all look like downgrades.
Do me one favor. Share this real quick, Fabi, before you chime in. Share what I just shared with you guys. Look at this. They have $5.5 million in GAM right now. $5.5 million in GAM. That has nothing to do with DPs. Has nothing to do with U22s. They could have used this money to trade for some impact players in this league, or sign some free transfer players, abroad, wherever it is, to make an impact. And they are sitting on $5.5 million. That's inexcusable. Like you said, it's imaginary money, whatever. But still, like, they have resources to make signings, and they're not doing it. What are they doing then?
Let me tell you what they're doing. I know exactly what they're doing. This is the Seattle Sounders way, right? You're going to go ahead and wait for another team to be a little bit more ambitious, in the words of Cheyenne, and then get their guys on a free that they need to get rid of, or get their guys on a cheap that they need to get rid of. Like, for example, let's say LAFC needs to open up a DP slot, right? Let's say Atlanta United wants to move off of a guy. Let's say, Miami finds a way, but let's say Orlando wants to move off a guy. Here comes the Seattle Sounders, and here's a landing spot for a player that can find a new life in MLS. And I know they've been very good at it, in my opinion. I think they've got the most out of kind of like these MLS rejects of other teams. And I think they can keep doing well with it, but they're not really doing anything much right now because they know the World Cup's coming up. They know there's going to be players coming into this league, and they need to make space, or other teams are going to need to make space for guys that are coming in to play for their team. So Seattle can find a good opportunity to go bargain bin hunting, after the World Cup. And I think, you don't want to hear that, but what if a guy like, let me for example, let me give you guys an example of a guy who can possibly see their way out. Let's see, like a Marky Delgado. Like, imagine if they have to get rid of Marky Delgado, and then Seattle will pick him up, right? Like, he's a top 10 player at his position in the league.
Favi, I'm gonna stop you right there.
I think Favi, you're canceled. I'm sorry.
I'm drinking the Seattle water, dog. That's what I'm doing.
So Favi, listen. So you're telling me the Seattle Sounders are now Montreal? They're just taking their reject FC. Like, hey, we want your dumpster. We want your We're dumpster diving for players now. Hey, Total Avalanche, you're shit. Come on over to Seattle.
You're good rejects, though.
No. Listen, let me stop you right there, because this is something I'm passionate about, right? And I'm probably going to get this clipped. The Seattle Sounders have historically been ambitious, and I've been told by certain people that they're not, and that is bullshit. In 2015, they introduced targeted allocation money to this league. That offseason, they went and signed Nelson Valdez, they signed Evenshitz, and they signed Roman Torres to push for an MLS Cup. Now, they didn't win one in 2015. In 2016, they signed Nico Ladero and eventually did win the MLS Cup. But this was a team that was pushing the envelope. When there was a new rule introduced, they took advantage of it. The Seattle Sounders had historically always had 3 DPs as long as they were allowed to have 3 DPs. The fact that they don't push the envelope, they don't exercise every avenue that they have to make their team better, is a travesty. And the Seattle Sounders are not the same club of old. This is a team that won MLS Cup in 2016, lost it in 2017, won it in 2019, lost it in 2020. We're talking about 4 MLS Cups in a 5-year window that they were in, and 2 of them they won. That is getting further and further away, and this team is not getting anywhere closer to returning to an MLS Cup. This team right now, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, is nowhere close to winning an MLS Cup. Nowhere close.
Even on the weaker Western Conference?
Yes, because they got worse in a weaker MLS or Western Conference. They got weaker. Their team is worse today than it was last year.
But I could see a world where the Seattle Sounders bring in some transfers in the summer. Like, I can definitely see a world.
Drop the line on them. Drop the line. How many summers have it been since they signed a player in the summer? Thank you.
But this one's different. This is the World Cup.
That's what they said last year. That's what they said 2 years ago. That's what they said 3 years ago.
This is a World Cup year. All right, guys are gonna want to come. It was
a World Cup year 4 years ago. I'm telling you, dude. This is the same song and dance, man. We've heard this every year. I thought for sure they were gonna sign someone this summer, and they didn't sign shit.
I can't stop laughing. Favi, you're cracking me up, bro.
Hey, man, I'm just being optimistic, dude.
No, it's just funny. It's just funny. It's just because what Will's saying is not wrong. I think, Favi, to a degree, I get what you're saying, but I don't know how this narrative changed, because Sounders were an ambitious club. They were a club that was spending big money. I don't know how this has fallen astray of, oh, they pick up the scraps. They do this. Yes, they had a strong core, but think about it. When they were successful in MLS, when they almost won the treble in 2014, Dempsey, Martins, Pineda, Alonso, Fry, Marshall, Yedlin, that was an unprecedented team back in that era. When they won MLS Cup, made it to 4 finals, Ladero, Rui Diaz, João Paulo, Yeimar. The list goes on. All because they have now kept the core doesn't mean they're a team that scraps for. So the last time they were like, they won a major trophy was CCL 2022. We're not going to talk about Leagues Cup because we already talked about that and why we were able to win it. But let's talk about CCL. They just kept that core, but it doesn't mean they were unambitious. They just had that core and now it's ran its course. But now who are going to be the new guys to step in? And now to reintroduce that Leagues Cup point, well, those guys that are supposed to be your new big high-end players prove that we don't need you to win titles. They've literally just proven that. We don't need most of you guys. And one of those DPs, I am a little bit worried about. I like Pedro de la Vega. We can all admit he had his best span during Leagues Cup. And it's so unfortunate he had that injury against NYCFC in a game. I won't let this one go, Brian. You didn't need to start him. You didn't need to play him. And it kind of annoys me you did. And now he is coming back from a bizarre and difficult knee surgery. We're not talking ACL. What was it? Like broken kneecap? Like how the heck does that happen? So it's like you don't know what you're going to see from these players. You saw Danny Musovski outscore Jordan Morris's best season in 15 less minutes played. 15 games. You brought in a guy like Ferreira, who we talked about, who could play Rusnak's role, who's not a DP, who was okay last year, but you still have Rusnak on a DP deal. So but that's to play your argument. But then that means, then why do you need both of them?
You need cover, right? You need to have depth in MLS. I think, especially if you're in multiple tournaments like CCC, MLS, and then Leagues Cup, I think you're gonna need to have a rotation of guys. And I think Seattle has notoriously always had a good rotation of guys.
I just want to end this point of I don't understand where this narrative has come. Oh, Sounders just don't do that. We don't buy big. We don't spend. We're not Inter. We were the Inter Miami before Inter Miami. We were. I don't care what anybody says. We were. We brought the Messi of the time in Dempsey. Do you guys all remember? Teams just like Messi and the whole league paid money for Dempsey to come, just like Messi. So to put this narrative, oh, we're not like Inter Miami. The thing is with Inter Miami, I also hate this point. People are like, oh, they're cheaters. They do this. They're not cheaters. They just push the envelope, similar to what LAFC did in, 2022, where they had Bale, they had Buanga, they had Vela. They were just using all their assets that they had on the table to its fullest, like what Will brought up. So to say like Miami's cheating or they're doing this, no, they're just using all their tools to the fullest extent. So, and we used to do that. So to say we're not ambitious, we don't operate that way, we don't buy big players, or that's baloney. So all in all, I would say this offseason was underwhelming. And so it leads me to the point of asking you guys, now that we're at this point, Sounders lost arguably one of their biggest players in Vargas Leyva. Yes, they still have kept that core. So let's talk about a positive. They still have kept the core, which could be good, could be bad. But to play devil's advocate, they are all a year older. Yes, Roldan had his best year, but he is a year older. Yes, Alex Roldan had one of his best years, but he's a year older. Nuhu, who I'm a little surprised we re-signed, who got 3 red cards last year, is a year older. So it's like all these things do add up. So for you guys with the Sounders, Favi, you have bullish expectations. So what needs to be the expectations for this team now? You're saying, do they win trophies? Are they going to push for this, push for that? And then maybe what we see could happen for them.
Yeah, look, the Nuhu re-signing is actually, him being a year older is actually better because it's a year more of experience. I mean, he won't do as many bonehead moves this year because he's a year older, like that's a good thing. No, but I think the expectation for Seattle is to be in the playoffs. I mean, they're basically a surefire bet to be in the playoffs again. I don't think there's a team that like RSL or Houston that are going to outperform them. I mean, RSL might lose Diego Luna. They're pride and joy halfway through the season. Like that's another question mark for RSL. So what are the teams that are going to be competing with Seattle this year in that 5 to 8 range of the playoffs? I think Seattle makes it again with the breeze. I truly think that this core of guys is good enough to still make the playoffs in the Western Conference because other teams have bigger issues, like for example, let's look at FC Dallas. Like if Peter Musa leaves, who's scoring goals for that team? So I just think Seattle can get away with it because the Western Conference is a lot weaker, and I think Seattle has done enough to keep the core around for them to be in a playoff position. I know Will's looking like he's about to like kill me through his stream, but I'm truly bullish on them. I think maybe what if you see some guys kind of outperform what they did last year, like Jesus Ferreira, for example? What if he does bring his form back from when he was in Dallas and truly scoring a lot of goals for them? So it is interesting. I mean, I think we could probably see some form come back to the guys, and who knows, that maybe they pick up the slack like they did in Leagues Cup.
The expectations were to have a good offseason and try to win MLS Cup. That's what my expectations were heading into as soon as they got eliminated in the playoffs. What do I think is realistically going to happen? I mean, the Sounders always overachieve, I'd say. Every season, they normally do better than I think they're going to do. But this is the final season where I think, okay, they have exhausted all avenues. Like, this is going to be the year where they get exposed for not doing enough. They're going to get exposed. They have, and I will stand on this, of all the teams in the league who have 3 DPs, they have the worst collection of DPs in the entire league. I don't even think it's close. For teams who have 3,
that's fair.
They have the worst. They have the worst, okay? And so you have all these players that are aging. You have a bad collection of DPs. And on top of it, you lost a key player in the midfield who I think could have been better this year. I mean, he's going to get better at Atletico Madrid, right? He's going to keep improving. He's got a very high ceiling. He would have been better. He would have definitively been Seattle's best player in 2026. It wouldn't have been close. I think he would have been way better than Christian Roldan. I think this is where he would have taken the next. Okay, what are you giving me that look for? Is Roldan playing for Atletico Madrid? Fuck, I mean, no.
It's his potential, right? Like his potential.
You got to realize that potential. You have to start playing. You can't just have a high ceiling. You got to start breaking through and actually reaching it. He would have been there. I think that once you hit that 20 to 21 age is when you really start to step into you being the man, right? And so I think he would have been clearly their best player in 2026 if he'd stayed. But they just didn't do a good enough job replacing him. So my expectations, like realistically, they're going to be a fringe playoff team. They're not going to win anything. It's going to be the same like song and dance. We're going to hear it if they do make the playoffs. They're going to say, "Oh my God, they won one leg in the round of 3, which is bullshit too. Oh my God, Seattle's so good." But they're not, and things got to change. And also, this is Brian Schmetzer's last year. I don't think they should renew him. I think that this should be his last year.
Wow,
he hasn't done anything in years.
I mean, he just won a Leagues Cup.
But a lot of people don't take that serious, man.
Hey, man, all I'm gonna say is Miami was taking it seriously, and they beat them pretty bad in the final.
No, they did, but they didn't do anything in the playoffs.
Okay, but
they got embarrassed in the playoffs. This is like the 6th year in a row where they didn't even make. I mean, we were accustomed to them competing for championships. That was 6 years ago.
Hey man, it's a Leagues Cup hangover, and then you lost Pedro de la Vega, your best player, really, and it was tough. I mean, your whole morale goes out the window, I think.
I mean, with Pedro, he got injured last game of the season. I think to Will's point, I think it should have been a damning tale to when you see you get first rounded by Minnesota, a team that used to be like, we used to always beat Minnesota. It didn't matter. Like, you guys remember the 2020 playoff game? Seattle were down 2-0 in like the 80th minute, and like people still thought, we'll come back against Minnesota. It's Minnesota.
I got one of those over there.
I'm drinking the juice right
here. And so like the fact that dam is broken, where Sounders only beat they played Minnesota 5 times last year, and they only won 1 game.
Well, yeah. Minnesota plays such a distinct style of play, or at least they did, where it's terror ball, right? Like it's a 50-50, like basically a coin flip.
Is
Other
it
teams
though?
Beat them.
I know 5-1. I don't know about if it was like, they won 2, they won 3. Like it was 5-1. So like,
right. No,
I get it. I agree with you. If it was a one-off, like, so let's say if it was still the one-legged playoffs, Minnesota did what they did. Yeah. It's like when they played Salt Lake in 2021. It was like that's a one-off. But you had 3 games, and even the game you won, you almost blew it. So it's like, but again, that's nitpicking. I'm being very nitpicky in that sense. I agree with you, Favi. I think because of how weak the West is, I think Seattle will make the playoffs. That's not something I was too worried about. I think the core is what keeps Seattle in that pool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a given. But in regards to having high-end talent to push you over, can you compete against the Vancouvers, the San Diegos, the LA? Isn't that crazy? Oh, man. I'm talking about Vancouver being a high-end team because they have high-end talent.
Well, Vancouver is actually a good team. You know,
No, Vancouver's an amazing team.
San Diego, though, may have a sophomore slump, you know?
Not that much. Not that much. And that's the thing. It's like, just going through the teams in the West, I genuinely think there's a chance the Sounders could miss the playoffs this year. I do think that could happen.
No way.
Okay, hey, pull up the Western Conference standings in 2025.
Okay,
there's 9 teams.
Pull it up and share it.
I know. I was going to say there is 9.
That's fine. And there's a team I named earlier, the Galaxy, who didn't make it in 2026, or 2025, who I think are going to make it.
Minnesota's going to make it?
Yeah, man. They signed James Rodriguez. I think they'll be fine.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. I mean, they signed more than the Sounders have signed so far.
You imagine
I will say James is a really cool sign. The fact that Minnesota had the pull to bring James in is
hey, think about this too. Non-DP. Why couldn't the Sounders have done that?
Okay, here you go.
You're gonna. I mean, look at the Sounders. They finished 5th last year. They finished 5th. I think all 4 teams above them are better. I think that the Timbers will be better. I think the Dynamo will be better. I think the Galaxy are going to be better. Now, Kansas City are going to be bad. St. Louis are going to be bad. Colorado is going to be bad. RSL could be all right. Now, I don't know if they're going to lose Diego Luna. I think he'll end up staying at least until the summertime. And they made a couple signings too. But this is actually not as bad as it was last year, the gap. They're not going to waltz into the playoffs. And like I said, they didn't barely make it last year, but they weren't like a top 4 seed. They were the 5th.
I will counter argue with this. I think they'll make the playoffs. I think it'll be relatively comfortable. I don't think it's going to be kind of similar to last year. I think Seattle is a 5th or 6th team. I think just really what hurts them is the high-end talent. It really, in those games where you're playing against LAFC, Vancouver, Minnesota.
Sean, let me ask you one question though. Let me just ask you one question. Do you think that the Sounders, look at the top 10 teams, okay, that finished in the Western Conference last year, okay? Did the Sounders have a better offseason than any of them?
No.
Of course
not.
Okay, so they had the worst offseason of all 10 teams, and they were the 5th team last year. Hell, Austin FC even got better because they got Diego Rossi from Palmeiras. They're going to be better in 2026, and Brandon Vasquez will be back at some point.
But yeah.
Sorry, what?
Facundo Torres.
Who did I say?
Diego Rossi.
Yeah, sorry, Facundo Torres, my bad. Facundo. Yeah, sorry, Facundo Torres, my bad. Diego Rossi is a stud too. Facundo Torres. But yeah, they're going to be better in 20. Now, the only team that I think is going to be worse that made the playoffs is Dallas.
Yeah.
Dallas is the only team I can think is going to be worse. And I'm not shitting on Seattle. I want Seattle to be good. I love Seattle. I want them to be as good as they used to be. So this is not coming from a place of hate. I love Seattle. I just know that they're not going to be as good because they did nothing. Unless Jordan Morris just comes out and just goes fucking nuts this year. But do we think that's going to happen?
Yes.
We know what Fabi's first bet's going to be on Kickbase.
Oh, yeah.
Wait. There's no bets. There's no betting on Kickbase, all right? You know what? I'm just rolling with, I could choose Messi or Son, but I'm choosing Jordan Morris and Jesus Ferreira, all right?
This guy.
Let's go.
Is Seattle gonna be able to push for some sort of title? Where is their golden goose, the silver spoon, the golden star? Where are they we're gonna see that Seattle that you're very bullish about?
Yeah, it's gonna be tough thinking about Leagues Cup right now.
Did you see him just completely reflecting his life? He just stared in the camera for man, I don't even believe half the shit I said tonight. Oh shit.
No, but I mean CONCACAF. It's tough, because if you're not playing at home, Leagues Cup, baby, come on, this is.
By the way, some of the games might be in Mexico this year. That was a report earlier.
Back champs. I see the Seattle Sounders taking advantage of a sleeping Mexican team again, throwing a 7-pop on them, and who knows what can happen after that. Yeah, I mean, MLS Cup is gonna be tough. We all know that, right? We all know that with Son and Messi and even Thomas Mueller in the league. It's gonna be tough to kind of get into the upper echelon of teams without an upper echelon guy. It even looks tough for a team like Cincinnati, and then without Pedro de la Vega for maybe a little bit.
I think a third, maybe.
Yeah. Supporter Shield is tough too. You're going to need that guy to really talk Supporter Shield, look, I'm trying to, talk this out. All right. Leagues Cup is probably your best bet. Now, if you're in US Open Cup, I would say, oh yeah.
Well, yeah, that's our
Money.
bread and butter.
Money.
We're the team that has, I think, one of the teams that has the most US Open Cups in history. Yeah.
But if you guys are in Leagues Cup, so it looks like Leagues Cup is going to be the place where you guys can shine.
Will, for you, then I'm going to spin this question for you. So we got the positive. Favi thinks, yeah, we could make a lead. There's still a trophy on the line. Seattle can still continue that trophy trend for the club. For you, what do you want to see from Seattle? Like, obviously, they're going to have what they have. They still have the summer window. What do you want from them? What needs to happen for them where you will be happy with them?
Well, honestly, I want to see them have some adversity. I want to see them struggle because I feel like that's the only wake up call to get them to do something. I feel like if they just coast by and they're sixth place or seventh place in the Western Conference, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be the same team, same thing we've seen the last couple seasons when it comes to Major League Soccer. And it's just going to be everyone's content. I want to see them struggle so people can realize in the front office, ownership, whoever it may be, Brian Schmetzer, they need to add some pieces so that they can compete for an MLS Cup. So now the Supporters Shield, I mean, holy shit, man. I don't know if they'd win it if you doubled the points they finished with. I'm being serious. I don't know. Time and a half, maybe. I don't know if they'd finish, the Supporters Shield. But, if they win Leagues Cup again, that would be kind of mid and underwhelming, in my opinion, because it's like, it's cool, but a lot of people don't really take it that serious because it is a weird situation format-wise with Liga MX teams. Now, obviously, you want to win any trophy you can win, but I don't think Leagues Cup is going to cut it again. Like, I think these fans want to see them make it to an MLS Cup again and try to win it again for the first time since 2019. That's a long time ago, 7 years almost. So I think they're going to have to try to win some hardware, but I do think they're going to have to go with that adversity. I think that would be good for them. I think they need a wake-up call. I really do. And remember what I said last year? When they down the stretch of the season, they did play better, but they were paying for past sins because they were so bad. And that's the reason why they really struggled. If they had a couple more points, they would have been in fourth place and they would have hosted the first round. They would have been hosting, not Minnesota. So that's something that I'm thinking of. It's one of those things. It's like you got to pick your side. Either you're all in or you're all out, right? And they've shown that they're not going to make any signings. So they have to be punished for it in a certain way to make them want to do things and make this team better. So we'll see. I mean, I want there to be some adversity so they can realize they have to do more.
Yeah, I think that's a good place for us to end it off. I mean, my closing thoughts, I agree with Favi. Like, obviously, we want to see the Sounders be the premier team that they once were, but there's a give and a take. You can't expect, it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's how it feels like for the Sounders. I think a telling tale will be that opening home game against Colorado, because opening day attendance has been dropping. I am very curious with what we've seen kind of from our viewers during this off season and in those lives, how they are frustrated. I think there is a sense of frustration. It's not that we don't know that Seattle can't win trophies. They have shown that they can with certain pieces, but it's like, it's evident that they're not gonna though. Like, they're not even putting their selves in the hat to be like, hey, we made this signing. We tried and do this. Like, there's some like level of curiosity or X factor or a somethingness. They're not doing that. So if you don't do that, then people are not going to think that you can do it. And there's no optimism in a sense. And maybe Will's right. Maybe they need to get a kick in the balls for something to happen. Maybe they need something to go their way. Someone needs to do something. But I think there was cookie crumble evidence last season, how maybe some shifts in certain positions need to happen. I'm not saying like a full rebuild. You need to deconstruct, reconstruct. Now to bring back San Jose, you don't need to do none of that stuff like the San Jose Earthquakes. But there is a level of, there's some dead wood in this team. There is some things that need to be changed.
Yeah.
Some things do need to change for sure. And maybe a punch in the face, a kick in the balls maybe needs to happen. That's what is going to give you that driving force, because if you keep doing that same thing and, you make playoffs, fans are still going to show up and things like that. Yeah. Then you're just going to coast. So I'll close it off there.
I think you can still, though, if I'm not mistaken, they still have a waive. They can waive one player, and I think
Yes.
you kind of save that for you save that for the summer transfer window. If you want to waive Rusnak, you can then, and then you open up a DP slot, and then you can sign a European star, like let's say a Griezmann.
You actually get two. You get two buyouts now.
There you go. So Jordan Morris could be on the chopping block too.
But I think we're asking for too much here. Like to wait.
Okay, Rusnak I can see, but I bet you anything somebody would want Jordan Morris.
Bobby, you starting to go fund me for the Jordan Morris buyout, or
no? Jordan Morris could find another team in MLS. I guarantee you that.
Oh man! But the thing is for the like Bobby, like my quick rebuttal:
the San Jose Earthquakes would take Jordan Morris today.
Okay, we know San Jose Earthquakes would take a lot of players.
Would they though? I don't know if they would even take him. Honestly,
they would. They need a striker.
I think Montreal would.
They're not gonna just chill out Preston Judd all year.
My final question to you, Favi, is how much are you actually willing to bet that the Sounders would make a signing this offseason? Just out of curiosity.
I think this summer transfer window is different. So I know it's been 4 summer transfer windows, right? That you haven't done anything, but this is the one.
The whole Craig Weibel tenure has not had one summer.
You have to break trends at some point, and I think this is the transfer window to break that trend. I mean, Griezmann's coming. And I think if you're Seattle, you need to make a package for him because he loves the Mariners, right? And that's like he loves the city. So I think you have to have a package for Griezmann at least. Like what? Like you're supposed to.
I like and a lot of our fans would love Griezmann too. And there's that clip going around of him where he got.
Hey, listen, we can't pay you anything, but we're gonna get you dugout seats to the Marlin or to the Mariners. We're gonna get you. Hey, listen, you're gonna be able to eat dinner at Sam Darnold's house if you sign with the Seattle Sounders.
You say that now. But literally, Obed Vargas is already telling him to go to the Sounders. All right.
He's the FBI agent already. Putting
and Timo Werner didn't even know about San Jose until Bruce Arena came with a PowerPoint. All right, anything is possible. Okay.
Yeah.
Holy smokes! I was gonna close off with this last thing because Favi keeps bringing this up. 1 minute.
There you go. That looks nice.
Does it look real?
That looks like the future.
The future. I think that's where we're gonna close it off, boys and girls. Thank you so much to Favi and Will for coming on to the channel. Guys, make sure to also check out Kickbase USA. You've probably seen some of their ads. I've seen a bunch of them. Favi's, I believe, in one of the ads, which I think is kind of crazy. I had to do a double take on it where I was like, wait, why is Favi on an ad on my feed right now? But yeah, make sure to go check that out for the start of the MLS season. This is your guys' preview. On top of that, before the season starts, I don't know what content is planned for the remainder of this season. As you guys have already seen in my 2K subscriber video, content's not going to be as much as it used to be, but I do still have my Seattle Sounders jersey collection video that will be out. I don't know when it will be out to this one, so it might be before, might be after. I don't know. And then obviously as the season goes on, I'll see what I end up putting out, but it's not going to be as consistent as before. But I felt the season preview was a must for sure. But yeah. If you guys haven't, smash the like button on this video, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and boys and girls, I hope you'll have a lovely day.